here.
Oh, he's the birthday boy, John. He can kind of get away with whatever he wants today, but, you know, Boom Esports, they got him in that game one, and that's going to feel pretty darn bad here for Motivate, as they will go back to a Motivate classic. They'll get the Fearless Storm Spirit in the mid lane, something he is quite potent on and very comfortable with. Though I wouldn't say Fearless was really the reason why they lost that last game, to be fair. I mean, he had a great time on the Kunkka. Just didn't really amount to the end product that they really wanted. In the meantime, Boom Esports, they'll go for the Ember. So kind of that pickup you like going into if you do have a Storm Spirit opponent. And of course, Boom Esports also take the Enchantress now. Just a very kind of lane-dominant support, which should be the POS 5. In the meantime, Motivate.Trust, though, they'll go for the off-lane Doom pickup for Masaros. And Doom doesn't necessarily enjoy going against Enchantress, but it is a way to be able to farm up against a lane that's just going to be hellish to play against, I think. And of course, naturally, having the Doom against the Ember is always going to be very effective.
Yeah, Doom against the Ember is really good. Like, having that control is great. I'm wondering if Motivate.Trust will really give Jackie the pause 1 Bloodseeker. And he has done that a couple of times. It's just not a hero that I think you and I can safely say really like seeing on pause 1. It has very strict timings to hit. It still has a lot of value against Weaver and even to a certain extent the Ember, but
Yeah.
you do have to play fast, right? Like, you want to hit your Maelstrom timing quick. You might need a Basher fast ASAP and a BKB for sure. And you kind of have to play aggressive. Your scaling towards late game mainly relies on the Storm, I'd say. Like, Fearless will be your win condition here. Maybe to an extent Monsters on the Doom. I have to raise this point though. Motivate.Trust has done offlane Storm with a mid-Doom before. Not specifically a mid-Doom, but they've done offlane Storm with Masaros.
Yeah.
So that could be the way they want to go. Just run an offlane Storm with the Doom going to Fearless. I don't see that happening, but it is in their book of tricks here for Motivate.Trust.
Enlighten me, John. Did they win that game?
No.
No.
I don't think they did. I think that was a offlane Storm and a mid Void Spirit or something like that for Fearless. They did
Yeah,
something
right.
silly, Motivate.Trust. So I don't recall them winning that, and they tried it twice. There was another game where they ran that
Oh,
offlane
good.
Storm. So
Yeah, just run it
yeah, they've
back
been
just in
trying it.
case. Just in case the
I
first
do,
loss was a fluke.
I do believe that was in Pro Series 8 though, so it was like a month ago or 2 months ago. But they could try it again. I don't want them to. I think the offlane Doom still gets a lot of value for Monsters. But I am still curious about the Bloodseeker. I still like you're showing your 3 cores on hand from the side of Motivate. Maybe they're assuming Boom also shows their cores with Weaver, Tide, and Ember, but there's still that flex on the Weaver and on the Tide. Like, if they don't want the Weaver support, CTM can take that. You could give Tim's the Ench, go hard 5 Tide with Abeng, and go something else for FBZ. It's still fairly open for them to get a good matchup here.
Let's see. Boom Esports. They need that POS 1 pickup for CTM. What's it going to be? And again, they're in that position where they don't exactly know what Jackie's going to be playing. Last game around, it didn't really matter in the end. I mean, it was quite a close matchup, but CTM ends up pulling it through for the team. This time, he'll go into the Luna. This hero has looked a bit hit and miss, I'd say, over the recent patches. Obviously, was very strong a couple months ago, but not so much the case anymore. Though I'd still say this hero, with enough farm, it is still a massive, massive problem. Really, in terms of counters, you haven't really got too many. Not the greatest ways of dealing with it.
No, certainly not. It still plays into the minus armor strat really well. So it's likely we're seeing the FBZ Tide now and the Weaver coming out for Tim's on 4. I mean, you could still run Weaver 5 for Abeng and give Tim's Ench, because we know he likes that here as well. Just maximizes the early laning control it does give out. We'll see, fairly open for Boom and kind of running those lanes. For Motivate now, that early Bloodseeker pick, kind of thrown away, right? Like, we talked about it when it came out. The Weaver flex was still there. If you were running Bloodseeker core and they shift Weaver to support, that means your core pick is countering a support. It doesn't feel great. I'm trying to think if they could flex that, like, say, Bloodseeker 4, Lion 5, or back and forth. It doesn't sound nice.
No.
So I think Motivate.Trust will kind of have to cop that and try to get as much as they can in the early scaling the hero provides. They will go with Terrorblade, so maybe they do flex. Just go with Doom offlane, Storm Spirit mid, Bloodseeker support. They are going that route. So a Bloodseeker support here for Motivate.Trust. And Boom, again, going with the Tim's Weaver. So Abang does taking the Enchantress. Tim's will play the Weaver scaling up.
Yeah.
You're going to ask me the hard question, Mike. I'm going to answer it here.
Wow.
I think Boom has a better draft. Bloodseeker 4 is such a weird one because all their controls kind of hanging on the Lion, to an extent the Storm and the Doom once they hit the Blink and some protection in the Storm to jump in. But it's a lot of pressure on everyone else. You can't kind of shift that pressure off onto Q. And the Bloodseeker just doesn't feel like it has an amazing role. Maybe when you get Ag Scepter up on the Storm Spirit, you can get that Vortex into Bloodrite combo. Beyond that, you don't have the best synergy. Laning phase, you could try for early ganks with Earth Spike Hex. It just doesn't feel like you get a lot of value from the Bloodseeker. So I'm keen to see if Q can kind of beat that out. But on paper, Boom has a really strong draft with a minus armor, with the AoE control they have. It might be hard pinning down the Storm, and they will have to watch out for the Doom jumping in, getting control before a fight breaks out. But you have a lot of ways of playing around that for Boom, especially once they get Ags up and Tims. The Doom target could just be time-lapse back, and the Doom doesn't matter at that point.
It certainly doesn't, John. As we are going to head into game number 2, we'll see if Boom Esports can achieve a 2-0 victory here against Motivate.Trust. You know what this Bloodseeker reminds me of, John? You know, it feels like a bit of a misdraft here from Motivate. Like they initially wanted the offlane Bloodseeker and it doesn't work out. And it kind of reminds me of those pub games where you have one dude, one core player, he randoms a hero, gets something he doesn't want, and then he just tells the rest of the team, I don't want this hero. Somebody's taking it off me. And I feel like that's what happened to Masteros here in the offlane. He's like, yeah, I'll play the Bloodseeker. And then obviously the first round of picks go on, and he's like, nah, look, I don't want this hero. Give it to Q, he'll deal with it.
Yeah, it does feel that way. You know, they kind of just see Weaver, they immediately go for this, and, you know, they figure out it's good. Nice to see that, you know, Boombell and Jopaj having a good time. For some reason, Satir's just like, boy, Jopaj's like, Boombell, and that's it. No words exchanged, just tips, just
that's
that.
That's what the friends call him, John. It's not Jopaj or Japoy. It's Poi.
It's Poi.
It's Poi. Yeah. That's it. Maybe we should try doing that, John. We'll call him Poi. See how he reacts.
I've tried in lobbies. Every time I ask him for that burger, you know, Gary said he'd give burgers out, so the boss man himself said it.
Well, did you help him, John? Did you get him out of the...
I don't know if it helped, but I did forward him to the place they needed to send their letter to. So I think Gary got, useful info out of it. He hasn't bugged me afterwards saying, hey, John, your advice was useless. So I'm expecting that burger, Yopash. Boy.
Well, Gary's a businessman, John. I don't think he's going to bug you for giving him garbage information. I think he's just going to think, oh, John's an idiot, and just never talk to you again. That's what I would do. Well, I say that. I haven't done it yet, John, surprisingly enough. Still, we'll head down to the laning stage. Boom Esports down to the bot lane. Looks like they might start with an aggressive try-in again here, John. Tim's going to make the rotation on the Weaver, go for a quick body block. I don't know how much you're going to get out of this, but maybe with level 1 enchant, you could at least get some substantial damage off.
Yeah, it's a slower laning start for Motivate.Trust. Level 1 for Doom doesn't feel amazing, and can't really follow through with any aggression. Masteros does get the Scorched Earth, so it looks like they will try to zone out Abeng. So they are kind of holding back that aggression here, but once Tim shows up with the enchant, there's a lot of damage.
Yep, no Lucent Beam available either, so CTM not going to be able to cancel off the TP, and Masteros just quick thinking. Unfortunately, though, for Masteros, he did TP back to the fountain, and as you can see, he does regret his decision, because that is going to put him behind by about a level by the time he comes back, and well, now the laning stage for Motivate just got a little bit worse.
Yeah, a lot of value there with that early trial lane start for Boom. They do split up the lane. CTM should have a good time farming up. Doesn't need to worry too much about the Doom getting up in his business on the Luna. So steady farm can come true. Bang as well does have a nice camp to go for. Ghost camp ready. Gets the large ghost. So that frost attack is there, and that amps up the slows you can get here.
Oh boy, top lane. First blood occurs already. FBZ and Tim's able to secure Jackie. It's not even the minus armor strat yet, John. It was just a Sakuchi out from Tim's, and FBZ, he had the gush. So already a very early first blood happening. The thing is, with Q on this Bloodseeker, you can't really do much to help out if they make the jump in.
No. Your options are limited in saving your Terrorblade. And we talked about the matchup, right, for a bit. Like, Terrorblade coming through can juggle the lane with the Metamorphosis, but when it's down, you don't have a lane. You can't come up, you can't really last hit. The Anchor Smash is there, the Gush is there to threaten, drop your armor. It's still high armor, but with Gush, with the attacks coming through from a Weaver, it is a lot of damage, and now Q has to be a bit careful as well.
In the meantime, bot lane Set0 able to go down here, Bing able to pick up his first kill of the game. So both side lanes already favoring Boom Esports. And we kind of talked about this during the drafting phase, but the laning stage was never going to be easy for Motivate.
No, not with this kind of draft. Like, Masaros can still get steady farm. He's still stuck at level 1, so he doesn't have Devour for the bonus gold yet. Does pick it up now, but he is already set behind, and this is not the start you want for a Doom. It wants to get CS, it wants to get levels, rush into the Midas. Not going to be a very quick timing here for Masaros, and it sets a bad tempo for Motivate.Trust. They're going to have to play it very slow in the mid-game, and for Boom, they're going to have a lot of openings to use because of that. Like, the safe lane of Jackie is still not going anywhere near the way they'd want to. The only lane that's kind of going nicely for Motivate is mid, where you are seeing Fearless kind of eke out a slight edge over Yopaj. And we have seen Storms do that. You know, they hit level 3, and they get the Vortex, they can threaten to burn down the Flame Guard of the Ember Spirit. Yopaj does opt to go for a 0-1-2 build, getting more protection on the armor. So it is a bit harder to zone Yopaj out, but Fearless is already forced to walk all the way home. Not even waiting for the water rune, so even more space out for the mid. That was the only lane that was looking decent for Motivate.Trust.
Yeah.
Dire's courier has been
Definitely not great news here, but Boom Esports, they're sitting very happy.
My sprites are with us.
They're just looking across all lanes, trying to make sure we don't miss out on the third kill of the game, because we've missed out the first two, John, just so you're aware. Fearless going to come in and trying to get a little bit more aggressive here against Yopaj, but it is rather difficult against the Ember, because you have the Flame Guard, and it's going to block off most of that magic damage there from the Storm. Water runes, though, are going to spawn up, and Yopaj, he's going to be just fine to fill up the bottle and return back into the laning phase, so no real hard times for him on the Ember. In the meantime, top lane, Jackie has been jumped again on the Terrorblade, but he isn't really going to be able to retaliate too much. Just taking substantial amounts of damage from FBZ and Tim's every single time he gets close to a creep wave. In fact, now they'll make the jump in. Q has no blood right to throw out, and Jackie's gone. They just can't help him. You might find a trade here onto the Weaver, but Boom Esports, they'll be more than happy with this trade. And you even force Set Zero to rotate top to make sure that happens, which means Masaros is going to suffer even more in this offlane.
Yeah, he's just going to be solo there. He's at the point as a Doom where you can kind of hold the lane solo though. You are level 3, level 2 Devour's up. You can just kind of steal away the inch creeps when they show up in lane as well. So it's going to be a very passive lane, but that means you're not applying pressure on CTM. So you're just focusing on giving Jackie a good run, and it's going to be a bit of a toughie. You can see CTM already tipping Masaros. He knows he's in for a free lane here in the bot, and once you hit that pacing, Luna can actually scale faster than Terrorblade in terms of initial farm, because you tend to go for something like a Mask of Madness. Even without that, if you do go for the glaives down the line, you're going to be clearing camps a lot faster than Terrorblade early on. So the farm disparity will just grow if Motivate.Trust don't find a way to reel in this kind of start.
Oh, they're even outplaying him in other ways, John. A Bang right now is just taking stacks away from the triangle of the Dire, so he's making sure Fearless doesn't have that flash farm incoming with the Static Remnant. In fact, now he's going to make the rotation mid. And Fearless is level 6, so he should remain safe. You've only got the level 1 chains available, but they want to pressure this T1 mid tower. He's creep skipping with a neutral creep. This is very interesting play here. Very early on, they're going to try for this mid tier 1. I do love to see it with the siege creep and an enchantress up. The question is, can Motivate defend this? If they cannot, this game is going to become impossible for them. Fearless, he's going to zip in after a Bang now. They'll try, in fact, Masaros has to rotate as well, and they should at least find a Bang. And they will defend. But boy oh boy, it costs them so many heroes to rotate. But had they not done that, this game would have been just impossible.
Yeah, they needed to make that move. It is giving so much space out to Boom. Like, the bot lane's free farm for CTM. He's at 42 to 26 on that Luna. He's just going to hit this really great farming space. Is already very close towards that Dragonlance, so the Luna's already set to have a great time. And Masaros is just like 3 levels behind. Level 4 up against a Luna at level 7. You tend to see Dooms just get steady gold. It's not happening this game.
They know Jackie's alone. They forced all those TPs mid. They took down half the tower's HP, and now they found Jackie. It's the birthday boy, John. He's down 3 times in a row now.
Yeah, not having great birthdays so far, at least in this game, too, in comparison to game 1. And it kind of boils back to draft. You can't really get the best presence out with a Bloodseeker support And they're just kind of making use of that for Boom. It gives them such a wide opening. They know it's basically a 4v5, heck, a 3v5 if you don't want to count the Terrorblade at this point. And Motivate.Trust has no counterplay. Like, look at Q. He's just being chased down by Tims, and Tims isn't scared at all.
Yeah, I mean, you land the Blood right, Tims, he's just going to keep right-clicking. He does not care whatsoever. In fact, he's got a full creep wave helping him. Q eventually just going to have to retreat himself. Now, mid lane, they might at least find Japoy. So set 0. Able to set up a nice pick off there for Motivate. You're going to need a lot more of those, but it's a good start here for Motivate.Trust.
Dire's top
Yeah,
tower
it's
is under
a big
attack.
kill. It's a very important kill that they need to find. It doesn't give them more map space. I think that's the one thing they're missing out. They find a pick off, but they're still lagging behind in areas they can actually play in. As Boom still has control over each lane, set 0 forced to TP out as well from Abing, just showing up with his Thunder Creep, with Chain Lightning on that Harpy. So they don't really have a lane to play in. Look at the wards here from Boom as well, Mike. Ward on the triangle,
Look at
ward
Jackie.
on the jungle, and Jackie.
I think Tims is diving this. Yeah, 100%. Sakuchi's up, you're going. Jackie, he's got no Sunder, so Tims, he's going to get him a 4th time now. Masteros is going to rotate, and you might be able to commit the Doom for this kill. You may not even need it. Tims, though, he's going to juke him out, but no. The Scorched Earth is enough, but look what's happening in the meantime, Jonathan. Mid-tier 1 tower. Jackie needs that to remain standing to be able to farm the jungle, and it's gone. Boom Esports are completely outplaying Motivate.Trust.
Has fallen.
Yeah, 8 minutes in, 9 minutes in, they've got 2 tier 1s to their name. They've got really good wards to watch every farming spot of Motivate.Trust. And Motivate.Trust still can't force a play out. They do have 6 on Q, so try on FBZ.
They can try, but it's a tanky tide. Bloodright's going to be there. Ravage committed, however, and now Yapaj will make the rotation. They will lose Fearless. And Q, I don't think he's quite safe either. You've got a Remnant available. Oh, it looks like they are going to help him out. Make sure the Bloodseeker gets away. But you're really seeing the impact of this Bloodseeker pick in the draft. It seems to have completely messed up Motivate.
Money changes hands.
Yeah, it's just not a great flex pick. You know, they open first phase, they get baited in by the Weaver, they end up with a Bloodseeker as support that just doesn't contribute. And now Motivate.Trust are kind of paying the price. Their laning phase is just kind of shot down. All tier 1 towers still standing for Boom. They can't even play in the bot jungle for Jackie to farm up there. They can't even line up for a push here in Motivate.Trust and have this really greedy lineup. You've got Doom off lane, Storm mid, Terrorblade safe lane. All of them need farm to be up and running. None of them are very selfless. So with the limited map space, you're waiting for items to flow in, but you don't have space to keep farming up.
The thing is, we've seen Motivate in these positions before, and we used to call them the comeback kings for this reason, John. I mean, you like to reference it all the time, but they are known for losing the laning stage and finding their way back throughout the mid to late game. You already see Masteros, he has the Midas on the way, so he's got that comeback mechanic for the Doom. Him and Fearless, they are going to have to get very active. I don't think they have time to sit there and farm along with Jackie. I mean, that is the standard kind of Motivate way anyway, is to play that 4 protect 1. But even more so this game, they just don't have a choice. They have got to fight and buy space for this TB.
Yeah. They will at least try to take down this bot tier 1 to open up the bot jungle for some farm, but their top tier 2 is going to be forced in as well by the side of Boom, and they've got the damage for the Weaver up. They are forcing the TPs in. They've got Doom ready on Monsters if he can land the target, but without a blink on that Doom, it just becomes very hard to find the big initiation, and Boom can just kind of walk back. They've got control of the top jungle. They still have these aggressive wards. Motivate has to be a bit careful walking in here.
They're going to try, but you haven't got the initiation right now. I mean, the only person who can initiate is going to be Fearless. I mean, Q can rupture, set 0. He's trying to walk his way in. They can try for a bang, and this is the best they're going to get. So they'll get the Enchantress with something. Rupture's out on Tims. They might be able to set up for another, but you've got to get past FBZ. And he's not going to allow it. He will just stand his ground and make sure Motivate remain as 4. And that's really the best Motivate.Trust can find at the moment. The problem is you are committing 4 heroes for that.
Yeah, it takes a lot to just counteract that movement from Boom. They are starting to buy Jackie some space out, though. So I guess in the end, this is playing to what Motivate.Trust wants. Terrorblade has a lane to play it down bot, and is fairly protected. There's a ward to watch some rotations as well. Boom not really looking for the Terrorblade, just capturing space, keeping their aggressive presence up. They do have a Ravage ready on FBZ, and they're still getting some really decent space out for CTM and for Yopaj. Like CTM still number 1 in net worth. Yopaj a bit behind, but the Ember doesn't need as much compared to Storm, so even with just the phase boots and Orb Corrosion, he is doing good damage and can show up. So yeah, just keeping everything locked in and just kind of denying top jungle. Again, it's giving space down bot, but whether or not that's enough for Motivate.Trust remains to be seen.
Oh, absolutely.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
You see how small the map is right now for them on Motivate. They're just lacking so much space.
Radiant's
So
bottom
smoke is
tower
there. They're going to try and go for this awkward reveal. Q. Rupture out, they've got FBZ. That'll be a great target if they could secure it. And FBZ, he is on his own island right now, but he commits the Ravage and is just going to keep running towards his team to back him up. Yopaj going to set up with the chains out. And in the end, you are probably going to find Q here as Yopaj does take it. Most people, they'd look at that Ravage and say it was pretty bad. I think it was great though. Boom Esports, they do not want to give an inch away to Motivate.
They understand what they have to do in Boom's side. Just keep kind of not giving openings towards Motivate.Trust. They kind of snowball back if they find that kill. FBZ's worth a lot. He's number 2 in net worth. So he just needs to stay alive, not die, bait in. They still find a kill on Boom's side, and they're going to find that top tier too. No defensive play coming out for Motivate. The TPs are in, but the tower's gone.
They've got no Ravage though. Maybe they can actually play around FBZ now. Problem is you don't have the Rupture either. So Fearless, he's not going to make the jump in. He knows they don't have, or maybe he doesn't. They're going to try and Tims instead. The Weaver, finger out. It will stick charge, but it won't be enough. They'll get something. Or even take their outpost back. Problem is, how long can you really hold on to that outpost? We'll see. Suppose while the Ravage is down, you've got an 80-second window where the outpost should remain your way. In the meantime, though, FBZ does have the Blink coming out already. So he's got that big initiation now for the Storm. And of course, he is going into that Aghanim Scepter up next on the Tide. So that AoE gush can prove to be very painful here against Motivate. Especially when you're this far ahead as Boom. Just having that constant slow and minus armor being thrown out against the whole enemy. It's just so difficult to play into.
Really is. And it's not just that, scaling the supports. You're getting a ton of farm out. CTM's about to hit his Manta style timing, so he's going to have some illusion dodge potential. He's going to be able to dodge out the Orchid as well once that's up and running. Yopaj still holding on to the gold, but he does have his full Yules up. So he can save himself from the Orchid as well. And he's not going to be very easy to lock in now. They are relying mainly on the Orchid on Fearless until the Blink BKB is up in Masterverse, which is still a ways off. So they're well protected on Boom's side. Even with the catching up on Motivate.Trust, they have a lot of tools on their cores, on top of those supports you mentioned, Mike. And it gets harder and harder for Motivate.Trust to find the openings. They will try to make a jump, though. They're going in bot, but there is a ward, so Fearless is spot, and that's going to give the CTM a heads up to just keep away.
Mid lane, going to show up for a second to try and farm the creep wave, but instantly he's going to get jumped there by FBZ. And that was the Blink reveal of the Tide, though. I'm sure that Motivate would guess that the Blink is already up. As now they have Ravage up, Bloodseeker's down, so why not just go for a very early Roshan as 5?
Yep. You've got damage, you've got minus armor. You can just kind of rush it. There's no vision here for Motivate.Trust. They don't have control in the area. So, first rush of the game going the way of Boom. Aegis going to CTM. Our Luna's looking really big with just the Dragonlance and Manta style of 16 minutes in. Scotty next. Motivate.Trust. I mean, they've done a good job of climbing back on Jackie. Jackie's number 3 net worth. He was at some point below even the Storm. Yeah, below even the Storm, below even the Ember, but now he's number 3. So the Terrorblade is using the space well, but he needs more time. He needs more time to stall out. I think he also wants to hit Scotty timing. Like, the Manta itself is just not going to carry through, and should be able to bail out, but set 0, not quite lucky.
Every time you find a target, you just go for it. Set 0 will go down to Yopaj. In the meantime, Fearless is going to be very cautious here. Ravage is up. FBZ trying to set up, but the Orchid is going to be out, and Fearless will TP underneath the tier 4 towers. Definitely a little bit of a risky spot, but, just for style points, why the hell not?
Yeah, I think that's a smart play. He knew Ravage was up, so he just wanted to be far enough to not get caught up from Ravage. He knows that FBZ would commit. Although Q...
Yep. Blood Right's there. A Bang puts the hand up. Doesn't get a high five back. That's perfectly fine though, as now Boom. They just have everything. They could go for the mid-tier 2. I don't think Motivate could actually even consider stopping them in that mid-tier 2 tower. And you see Jackie, he's just taking all the space he can to try and farm up the other side of the map. But of course now Boom Esports, they are just going to force this tier 2 tower. And they are just kind of forced on Motivate to watch it slowly be chipped away and go down.
Yeah, not much you can do there. Side of Boom actually looking to catch Jackie.
Can they get the Ravage? No. FBZ, his TP was just too late. Of course, he did TP after Tim, so had the longer TP duration. And now Motivate, knowing they're split up, they want to try and force a smoke out. Who do they find, though? And Yapaj would be a great pickoff. Problem is, he's got a Yule Scepter, so he's going to be able to purge off that initial silence. And he's going to run away from the smoked up side of Motivate anyway, right into a double damage room. So not the greatest timing for the smoke anymore, but Fearless, he might still make the jump in. Smoke is going to be broken. He won't have the vision though. He'll have to let Yopaj go. And in the meantime, mid-tier 3 towers going down.
Dire's structures are fortified.
Yeah. They were so split up. Yeah, there was no defense to come out to clear out the wave in time. They forced the Fortify out for Motivate.Trust. So next time they pierce high ground here for Boom, there's no protection for Motivate. They're going to have to try to play that team fight, try to get control, try to find the targets. With a BKB on Monsteros, it can be a bit easier for the Doom to just walk up, get the stun off with the Stentor Hoof Stomp, and kind of get the Doom off. The issue is, who do you really Doom? Like, it's got to be the Ember. When Yopaj will certainly not try to give openings away. It makes it a bit tough as Boom can just keep ripping through these outer towers. Like tier 2 bot, no issue for CTM, no defense coming out from Motivate.
In the meantime, Chains out, they have got Fearless. Yule's there as well, FBZ, Ravage timing. Oh, it's gonna land Fearless! He couldn't see it! Oh, that's a great Ravage up from FBZ! He abused the fog of the Radiant team to make sure that the Ravage would connect. Fearless had no idea it was coming.
That is a great max for him. I think Fearless was sort of hesitating. Looked like he was trying to get a right click and then decided to try to zip, but the cast point was just long enough to get that last Ravage on the outer ring. And they get the punishment off. Now the high ground begins without the Storm to intercept this push. They can't really defend.
Nope. No, they certainly cannot. Masteros, he's going to pop his BKB. He has Doom, but what are you going to do? Doom CTM? Pop his Aegis? He doesn't really care at the moment. I can guarantee you that. This Luna is more than happy to lose his first life and get a free reset. They are going to at least force Boom back, though.
Yeah, it's buying time out. It bought time for the respawn on Fearless, so he doesn't show up. His BKB is almost done. He managed to get the space to get a bit of a push going up top from Jackie. So your Terrorblade is using the space nicely, but he was catching up a while ago. He's kind of lagging behind, just the nature of things. Aluna can clear out a lot faster with the Glaives up, maxed out now. And you've got the Scotty up in CTM, so more stats for the Aluna to play with. Motivate will try to smoke once more, but they are fairly blind on the map. They've got 2 aggressive wards, but no one's playing there. So they have no clue where Boom's really at right now, and Boom can just kind of look to dodge out. They don't see anyone on their own wards. No one's playing on the lane, so they know something's up.
I mean, maybe they find Tim's. I believe he was pinged out for a second and now is under vision. Orchid is there. Dust out from Fearless. They can at least get one. They've got that support Weaver, but now the cavalry is incoming. Even without Ravage, they want to try and force a fight. Fearless, he's going to be okay, but instead they will find set 0. So it will be a support for a support trade. As Boom, they are trying to look for a little bit more here. I don't think they'll quite find it. To at least make sure that Motivate, they are not finding any real wins.
Yeah, and they're not finding the trades they want. The smoke does still give them kill, which is important for Motivate.Trust when you're this far behind. But they're not finding the core kills. I think you've left Yopaj, you've left CTM alone for too long. You can't really kill off FBZ. Maybe if you commit Doom, you could, but it gets a bit dicey. And you're going to reach the point where Axe is going to be up in Tim's although.
Yeah, Fearless, gonna find a bang. Can they actually kill him though? No, eventually they do. Ravage never coming up from FBZ. Not wasting it for an Enchantress. So again, Motivate, just finding those small pickoffs that they can afford to take. And they're certainly not out of this game yet. It's still just a 4K net worth lead. Motivate hold all their barracks. And as bad as this game has looked for them, it really is still relatively close enough that they can make a comeback.
Yeah, I think 4K is still pretty playable, 22 minutes in. It's not a great feeling, but if you look at the farm distribution coming out from Boom, and that is mainly on CTM. Like, you have sacrificed Yopash's farm to an extent. FBZ as well has kind of taken the backseat in terms of build-up. So the gold is flowing onto one hero right now, but the steady build-up is still looking good for Boom. Again, Tim's, Ags is flying in. So you've got the Weaver Ags. That means even if you get a good Doom target for Masaros, if they time-lapse back, you should be able to outlast Doom and still come back into the fight. And that's going to be an issue. Unless they Doom Tim's first. But that's a Weaver support you're going to be dooming up just to take off time-lapse. It's just not a great feeling for Motivate. They're going to have to try to split their targets up, burst down Tim's before committing Doom when taking these fights, because that Ags is going to be a major nuisance for the side of Motivate.Trust.
Oh, that it will be. Now, Boom, smoked up with FBZ and CTM. They're going to cut somebody off, and it's going to be Masteros and Set Zero that they run the other way at the right time. Problem is now maybe Jack is involved in this as FBZ. He's going to ravage opportunity and commits it right onto the Terrorblade. They've got the Tomb out, but there's your time-lapse as well. Your Page will survive. CTM, he'll get right to work on Jackie. The Sunder means nothing, and Jackie has been forgotten about here. The rest of his team, they are just focused on the Ember. But you mentioned it, John. The Aghanim Scepter time-lapse. Just making it so the Doom does absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it's probably the only real Doom counter in terms of an actual spell kit. Like, it's really just time-lapse. And now Motivate.Trust, again, has to think twice when they jump in. They've got to maybe lock in Tim's first with her Storm, with the Orchid, play and pick off the Weaver first, and then come in with Doom. But that requires such specific initiation, such specific angles for Motivate.Trust, that finding that kind of window is going to be very tough. And Boom, they've got cruise control in this game. They can shove out every wave. They're building up on their Luna. You're still way ahead of the side of Motivate.Trust. The lead hasn't really grown. From 4K to 5K is not much. But for the side of Motivate.Trust, there's just not enough space for Jackie. Like, he's still holding on to just the Yasha. Does not have the full Manta, just trying to rush the BKB for some protection, and even that is a slow-going process for the BKB.
Oh,
now, of course, you never mentioned it at all.
He's going to force the BKB out from Fearless, and actually almost had him as well. The double damage rune was active on the Ember. Sorry, John, you were saying?
There's still the high ground factor for Motivate.Trust to consider. Like, we didn't really talk about it, but it's TV into Luna. So you've got the reflection there, which can feel good. I just don't know if it's enough. Like, you've got BKB to protect, you've got the Manta to dispel off anyway. So reflection plays don't feel like it's going to be really big. And I think for Motivate.Trust, it's just a matter of not just stall game, but also trying to kind of opening up space on the map. They need more vision. They need more areas to farm for a lot of these heroes, but they're just not finding it.
But they are not. Very, very rough time. I mean, the only man that can really hit creeps right now is Jackie, and rightfully so, but he's kind of stuck within his own triangle as well. I'm sure Jackie's not going to be too happy to come down south and find no neutral camps for him to farm. That is the situation that Motivate is in at the moment. Just forced to take what they can get. Just waiting for that one big team fight. I mean, that's the thing with these kind of games as well. Motivate, they're one big team fight away from being able to pull this game back. That's all it takes. But Boom have not made any mistakes. That's an important thing to note, is Boom is not making any errors whatsoever to allow them that opening. And that's half the way to beat Motivate. As you get through the laning stage, just don't make any mistakes. And you should be okay.
Just having that belief in Jack to build up and trying to play a safe game. But Boom, again, just not making any mistakes, as you pointed out, and playing it clean. Next Roshan in 20 seconds here, Mike. So they're going to be able to take control of that and kind of build up. Yopaj, Fearless has no mana.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you are correct, John. He has no mana. He's going to BKB and try to TP. And he's going to be okay. That's the really only security he has right now against the Ember. And, well, things are only going to get worse now because Yopaj, he's about 800 gold away from the Ags. And of course now they spot out the Roshan. So Roshan to go the way of Boomy, Esports. And I think as soon as you have this Aghanim Scepter available on Yopaj, you might just want to force high ground. I mean, with the way this game's gone, Boom, they understand how much momentum they have behind them right now. Massive power spike here with the 8 shards. Just feels like there's no real reason for them to sit back any longer.
Yeah, they don't have to wait for anything now. They've got their free shard for CTM. So the Lucent Beam's going to be flying through with some damage. They've got the Casual Crystal sitting here. Could be the Satanic first into the Daedalus upgrade. But you could just go straight Daedalus for damage output and not really worry about a thing. Motivate.Trust kind of playing their cards, right? Cutting off the creep waves where they can. But every single time, Fearless gets caught out.
Yeah, you don't have the BKB this time either. He's going to try and zip his way out of this, but Yopaj is ready to try and follow him down. He'll zip very far away, but he's out of mana now, and they know where he is. Another chain's out. BKB this time is up, but CTM is now on the chase, and Tims, he can just keep up the vision. So Fearless, he accepts the fact that he's going to die and faces the enemy. That's a big pick-off again for Boomers. Now they even found Masaros. Masaros should still be okay to find his way out of this, but FBZ is just going to stick around and be very annoying with that AoE gush. As the rest of Boom, it seems like they're ready to try and force high ground without that Storm Spirit up.
It's a massive opening. You only need to worry about Doom, and again, if Tims is not doomed up, Nathan can just time-lapse the hero that is doomed. And it doesn't take too long for the high ground to melt when you have that Luna pause 1. So you're just going to be able to rip through. Of course, with waves cut, there is illusion from Jackie cutting off the next set of waves. It could be a bit slow for process.
Like Z0 saving his own life there as Yopaj immediately just wants the lion down. Problem is, tier 3 tower, well, they've got no creeps. They are going to keep trying to pressure this. The creep wave, though, where's it been cut? Well, it's been Masaros. He's been sneaking up from that Radiant Triangle, just cutting the creep wave. He'll do it again, and this will ensure Motivate.Trust will not lose that high ground barracks.
Yeah, they've been really good at stalling out. It was Masaros and Jackie with his illusion. Just cutting off constantly, making it tough. They will scout for your stuff.
Oh, yep, FBZ, he's in. He's got the Ravage out onto Jackie. That's the big target they want. Jackie's got Sunder. He'll pop it in time. Pops the mana as well with the BKB now, and they'll try to force the fight, but he's got no damage available. Meanwhile, Masaros, he's jumped in with the Doom out onto Yopaj. Fingers there as well. They'll try to get the Weaver in the meantime. Make sure this Ember actually dies, but Tims, he's still alive, but not for long. Fearless, he finished the job. Back in on the Ember now. They might be able to get another. Yopaj still alive somehow. Will slide a fist away. Q trying to finish off the kill, but he can't do it. They cannot do it. Yopaj, he will survive. And Boom Esports, they'll keep the push going. Jackie, he's almost out of meta now, but oh, Yopaj, he's made a mistake. He got set 0 down, but it's for the cost of his own life. We'll see how much Boom can get out of this. Meta is down very, very soon. In fact, it is right now. CTM, he wants at least 2 lanes of barracks before he does back off, but Masaros, he's going in. He may be too deep though. They've got that IF Scar, he's slow out, and look at the damage. CTM just deletes Masaros. That's going to be a dieback on the Doom as now Jackie, he just can't fight. Not without that meta. And hell, even with the meta, John, he was just not doing enough.
No, it's a tough game for the high ground hold from Motivate.Trust. If they had Sworn Spirit Ag somehow, I feel a lot better, but even the Reflection's not doing enough from Jackie, and CTM just feels so confident here.
Jackie's trying. This is the last ditch attempt. He knows this game's over pretty much. He'll go for a Sunder out. CTM, he'll stand his ground. Maybe they can finally get the Luna. At least one CTM. He's just life-stealing throughout all this. Not dying yet, but it finally goes down. But now Jackie, he's going to find a way out. Rupture's there onto Tims. Meanwhile, CTM, he'll keep going forward. Gush is actually off the mark, but it won't matter. They've got the Terrorblade down. In the meantime, Fearless, he is jumping the back lines, but he is doing it all by himself. Trying to find some way back into this game, but it is over. Where's the GG call from Motivate? It's not coming out yet, but there it is. Yeah. They know. A quick chat before they call it.
Yeah, it's a toughie for Motivate. Like, they saw the Weaver first phase, they immediately go with Bloodseeker, and then they're forced to go for Bloodseeker support, just because You ended up having a support countering a support. It did not feel good for Boom. For Motivate.Trust. For Boom, it felt great. They managed to get that drafting advantage with a first phase Weaver, kind of flexing it out, because I think Motivate we're much more used to seeing that CTM Weaver. Like, we have seen that multiple times. When the opportunity is there for Boom to flex it, they kind of just hold it for CTM. But this time, with the early Weaver, caught Motivate.Trust off guard. And I think the second game was definitely more of an outdraft. Boom just managing to leverage off, getting strong laning starts out of that. The first game was a bit closer for Motivate.Trust, but unfortunately for Jackie, not finding a win in either one. Boom just managed to carry through. They will be back for the next game though, Mike, so maybe Jackie finds a better set of birthday matches there.
Oh, absolutely. You'd hope so. I mean, it's been a bit of a rough day for him so far, but, you know, shout out to Boom. They look fantastic in that series. And, of course, we are going to have Motivate.Trust back, and they are going against Omega in the second series of the night. Unfortunately, there is going to be a 20-minute wait, as, of course, Motivate, they have to play back-to-back series. So they do get double the break time. So 20 minutes, and we'll be back with our series number 2 between Motivate.Trust and Omega Esports. We'll see you then.